So everybody's question is, do you get the trimmer package or do you buy a regular, just normal Super Duty like an F350 or F250 and put a Carli suspension on it? And I'm going to give you my perspective on it and why I chose the trimmer. Now, if you don't know, the trimmer is a lift from the factory, and it gives you several different drive modes inside the cab that I will show you. It also gives you vented axle tubes for water fording and such. And then you also get, now, if you guys don't know, on 23s and 24s, the trimmers are the only ones with a mechanical hub inside here. So on all the other Super Duties, if you buy a regular Super Duty that is a non-trimmer, you will no longer have a manual turning hub. It is a dummy on one side, and you can no longer turn it to lock and unlock. So you're getting that in the trimmer package, along with a 1 3/4 to 2 inch lift from the factory on the whole thing. Now, if you buy a Carli suspension, you're going to get everything to level your truck, which is roughly $2,500. I'll post pictures of this as we go. What that's going to include is your shocks that are up here, which you get bigger shocks on the trimmer. These are an 1 3/4 shock, where your other is about 1 1/4 to 1.5 inches. So you get bigger shocks, you get a taller spring on the trimmer. With the Carli, you're gonna have an even taller suspension on here. Now, the Carli, that is the base kit. So it's gonna come with your brake lines, basically everything you need to level it, just to level it. So what the problem is I had a 17. I put a Carli suspension on it, and I tow regular, and as you'll see in the photo, I'm towing a excavator on it at the time, and multiple other things. I've got a tractor, along with logs and stuff that we haul, just everything under the sun. So the thing I'll tell you guys, if you are someone who is towing all the time and you're not wanting to dump a ton of money, and I'm going to tell you why you have to, into your truck, the short answer is get the trimmer and just be done with it. A lot of people are fighting between the two because they want the best ride. But to get the best ride from a Carli, there's so many downsides to it. We're going to go over that. So let's say you buy this and you want to put 37s on it. So you can buy the trimmer and you can put 37s on it. You do have to switch your rim to keep it from rubbing on from my understanding. Now, I've not tried to put just regular 37s on the factory rim, but from my understanding, it'll rub here and maybe somewhere else with the factory rim because it's set inside too far. So with the aftermarket wheel, you can put that on there. But to the next thing, when I bought the 17 and I put the Carli suspension on it. So the 17s, if you guys didn't know, I'm going to give you some history on these. The 17s were actually taller than any of the newer trucks. So 17 to 19 set taller from the factory than a 20 and to a 22, to all the way up to a 24. So if you bought just a regular Super Duty, like an F350 or an F250, it set almost the same height as a trimmer does from the factory now. It's probably 1 to 1/2 inch difference with the trimmer package now. And everybody's complaint was they were too tall, so they made it into a package. And the 20s and up, when you bought a Super Duty, they sat lower. They also did not have, now on the 23 and up, you've got a radius arm with this big hoof in it. See this here? And then your sway bar is hoofed. And they done every bit of that so that you could put bigger tires from the factory without it rubbing on those components. Now, if you bought a Carli suspension from them and put it on a 17 to 19, you would get rub. If you put, 35s or 37s on it, you would get rub inside here, and you would rub your sway bar depending on the tire that you put on the rim. And you can watch all this on Carli stuff, but I'm going to give you my opposing factor to the Carli suspension and why I didn't go with it. So I've told you all of this just so I can come to, the 23-24 edition. So now that we have the radius arm and the sway bar and all of that is hoofed, like I said, you can put a plus 12, plus 18, or a 0 offset, which is what this is. And I had a 20 by 10 on my 17, and you can see here how far it sticks out. It's almost identical with this setup to what my 2017 was, and it literally set almost identical this, but it was level in the front. If you have to have a perfectly level truck, even if you put a Carli suspension on it, what my 17 was it was slightly higher in the front, or it was perfectly level. It was really close. But a lot of these trucks, if you put the Carli on it, the rear will set higher than the front. So you have to really watch. And they even state all this on their website. So going to my 17, when I put the Carli on it, yes, it rode really well as long as it was not towing. So the problem with the Carli suspension is if you tow at all, your rear end is going to be setting way further down than your front. Your front is going to be nose heavy because you have 0 rake. So you can see my truck has a slight rake to it, and I'm going to try to go the other side just in case you want to see it. But if you tow anything at all, you're going to have rake in it so that you're not having your nose up in the air and it tows funky. A truck with a rake in the, the front down hair will tow 100 times better than one with it nose in the air. It's so much smoother. You can see it visibly better. Everything functions properly. You get distribution of how the weight shifts and how it tows at certain speeds better on the suspension. So when you slap a Carli on these and you're sitting level, here's the problem, and here's what made me go with the Tremor. So if you buy this Tremor, it's roughly a $4,000 package. And like I said, you're getting the factory lift, you're getting the different tow modes, you're getting trail turn assist, which will lock up one tire and make you do a almost 0 turn in comparison to something that you would have to back up, pull forward. You're getting bigger shocks, progressive rate spring, a lot of things. When you slap a Carli on here, the problem with it is you're getting a leveled truck or slightly higher in the front, so your towing's off. Now on these 23s and up, you get this weight scale provision. So you get this here on your truck. It's in the rear too if you get the scales, and I'll show you guys that. So you can see here, you see this tab that's here, and then you see this arm up here. So all of this in the front and the rear, this one tells your headlights where to go with your truck, so up and down. The one in the rear tells it how much weight is in the bed when you load it up for your payload or you put a trailer on it. And you can see all that in your dash. Once you put the Carli suspension on it, I see a ton of people breaking these little arms. Now, Carli has a fix for that. I haven't used it, but it's basically a circular component that mounts onto the top and lets this swivel with the bottom so that you do not break that little arm. But this is just a plastic arm. I could just about flick it real hard and snap that in two. I have no clue why they made that so lightweight for what it is. Now, I don't know if you'll have any trouble out of it from the factory. But back to what I was saying. So when you put this Carli suspension on here, you're going to change how it tows. You're going to have all these little components that are going to be off or not to factory spec. The next thing, once you put the Carli suspension on, you have to get in alignment, and then you have to get it installed. So a lot of people are thinking, well, I can just buy a $2,500 lift kit and have a better ride. So you will have a slightly better ride with a Carli leveled suspension. Now, do I think that that is from the shock package they're giving you or anything like that? No. All I think that it is it's a lighter weight front spring, and it's longer, and you're also, anytime you add more travel, you're going to be able to have a smoother ride because the tire can, move up and down quicker or further. And then also your spring rate is lighter. And that was the thing that really I didn't like about the Carli suspension. It basically makes the whole truck a lighter towing truck. And when you start putting Carli on these trucks, they don't tow as good, and that's why they sell the airbag kits. So what I told you every bit of that for is because you start going down a rabbit hole when you put the Carli suspension on. So first, you got to buy the suspension. So you're looking at $2,500 just for the front leveling kit. That does not include anything in the rear. It doesn't include anything special like a different sway bar or things of that nature. It basically will include your drop brackets. It will include the 4 pieces to put in your leveling thing for your headlights and your rear table, your rear scale. And what the problem will be is, like I said, once you get all that, you still have to have it installed, or you can install it yourself. I don't know about you, but I consider my time worth quite a bit. So, it just depends. Is your time worth less than paying someone at a shop to put it on? For me, it's not. But if you can do that and you can put it on here, then you're not going to have that cost. You're just going to have the time. But then you still have to have an alignment. So you've got to have those caster shims. Now, the thing that I would tell you guys, and I will guarantee you, if anybody's had this issue, please comment below. 99% of these lift shops do not do alignments. So then you've got to take it to another place and get it aligned. And then if they don't get your steering wheel perfect, you're going to have to go back and do it again. And then if there's anything off in the front end, like let's say that your axle is sitting to the right or to the left or shifted forward or backwards, then you've got to get into adding different linkages for your steering. So up and under this truck, you have multiple things that have to do with your steering. And I'm not going to try to go over all that, but basically, if your axle's off, you're going to have to start adding more components to it to straighten your axle. And the reason that you're going to have to straighten your axle is because if it's off to the right or to the left, you're liable to get rub at some point in here if you go with 37s at a different angle, because let's say it's too far this way. Let's say it's sticking out. Let's say that that 0 offset will set great on here. So you put these on here and you're at 0 offset and your axle shifted too far, like let's say it's shifted a 1/4 inch this way. Well, that's automatically going to give you a 1/4 inch further swing like this. So all of that plays a role, and you start going down a rabbit hole. And then let's say that you decided let's say you was like, I don't ever tow. I'm going to buy the Carli suspension. Then you get it and you actually do tow with the truck. Well, you're going to end up wanting to do other things to make it all coordinate. Because I'll be 100% honest with you. The best thing you can do to these trucks, and Carli will tell you this same thing, is to put a big tire and a small rim on the truck. If you took this truck and you put 17s on it, 17-inch rims, and a 37 on it, I guarantee you at 65 PSI in the tire that it will make this truck ride better for you than if you leveled a factory Power Stroke with the Carli suspension and then you put a 20-inch rim and a 37 on it. Your tire is the first thing that takes impact. And if you have a skinny rubber band tire on your truck, there's nothing for it to give, and it's going to jar automatically. And it's not like, a lot of people, they think about these trucks and they think of a Tremor like it's a Raptor or something. These trucks are they're set up to tow. I mean, this truck's a Tremor, and it has a 12,000-pound GVW and is rated at, for a lifted factory truck, it's the highest rated towing truck you can get. It's higher than Ram, it's higher than Chevy, all of them. So it's made to tow, and yes, it does have more suspension travel than a factory Super Duty. But like I said, if you guys are really, really doing the math and stuff on these, you're not going to come out money ahead. I mean, I would be highly impressed if you could put a Carli suspension on here and, be that much more impressed with the truck versus just buying a Tremor, putting a set of 37s on it, and not having to do anything to it. Then, like I was saying, if you buy these high-end Platinums or any of these trucks and you get this Tremor, addition on it, you're going to have different modes. So when you get in these trucks, you've got a blue million things that you do not have on a regular Super Duty. So if we go through the menu here and you look in this dash, when you're looking, you can see all these different modes. So you've got off-road, you've got slippery, and then you've got rock crawl mode. You're not going to get that mode when you get something other than the Tremor. You're also not going to have the trail turn assist like I was talking about. And then, like I said, when you go to features, your or not running boards, but your onboard scale, if you do not correctly set that back up to where it functions 100%, you're going to either break the little arm that works it, or this is not going to function properly. And also your headlights. So all of those things, like I said, even if you could put the Carli suspension on here and have it for the same amount of cost as you're going to get with the regular Tremor, you're still not going to get the modes in your dash. You're not going to get the vented axle tubes. You just, like I said, you've got a whole ton of things. You've got loopholes you've got to jump through. And then you're also going to mess your towing up, which is, basically what people buy these Super Duties for. And I understand that people buy them other than that. I don't tow every day with mine. But like I said, I just want to give you guys that bit of knowledge, and hopefully it helps some of you to make a decision. I just see people every day on the forums. Do I get a Tremor or do I get a Carli suspension? And to me, I've went down the rabbit hole with the Carli suspension. It does ride slightly smoother in the front than one versus the other. But like I said, if you just bought this Tremor and put a set of wheels and tires on it that were 37s with a bigger tire, you're going to get almost that same ride as a Carli, and you're not having to do anything. And when you hook to a trailer or you do anything, it's going to be flawless towing. And like I said, I tow several different things with this, and it drives just as good as the day I got it as it does, with the different tires and wheels. I didn't have to change any of my suspension. I didn't have to worry about if the guys putting my suspension on knew how to factory spec each nut and bolt on here, whether they got it aligned right, whether they put everything back like it's supposed to be. A lot of these shops, guys, will slap anything on your truck for you that does not mean that they know what they're doing. It's just a lot of these places I've seen have no clue, and one little thing out of line is going to end up either, making death wobble or things like that happen. So keep all that in mind. Hope this helps some of you guys. Have a blessed day.